in just a few short hours, I'm gonna be able to swim with crocodiles, something I've only ever dreamed of doing since I was a little boy. I'm excited and terrified at the same time. What's going to happen is anybody's guess. I grew up in the southern African bush of Zimbabwe. We were surrounded by wildlife. There were lions and elephants, monkeys in the trees, but the animals that always had me the most interested were the reptiles, specifically the crocodiles. I was taught to fear them. I was told that these crocodiles were these dragon-like underwater monsters that ate people. And they did eat people. I lost friends. Having to be so aware of these predators made me so inquisitive about them and everything that lives that I had to understand the bigger picture. Now as an adult, I'm a biologist. I spend my life traveling all over the world working with an amazing variety of different animals and wildlife. Hi, my pretty rosy boys. But no matter where I go or what animals I work with, I am always drawn back to these crocodiles from my childhood and wondering what their lives must be like underwater. The other day I get this call from my friend in New Zealand, and he tells me he's invented this technology in a wetsuit that could be of great use to me and my career with wildlife.
Hey mate, how are you? Got something really cool to talk to you about.
Okay.
Now, got this new technology that blocks your electrical signal. And what it does, wearing this technology in a wetsuit gets you closer to marine life. Fantastic for spearfishing.
That's crazy. Okay.
Could you jump on a plane on Sunday and come down?
You want me to come to New Zealand next week? I land in New Zealand and head over to Warren's factory. Right there, him and my old buddy Riley Elliott, who's New Zealand's shark man, meet me, and they're both just excited.
Nice, buddy.
Hey, Warren.
Welcome to New Zealand, man.
Thanks, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Let me just tell you about the technology and how it works. What we do is we knit the carbon yarn in a grid on the vertical.
Warren was just going nuts explaining it all to me, but the thing that you really need to know is that inside of the wetsuit's material is a carbon grid weave that blocks the body's naturally occurring electrical energy. That way things that pick up on energy signals can't sense you.
What this does for the diver is it blocks one of these sensors animals use to detect predators and prey.
As a shark biologist testing HEX technology for a few years, I'd seen how it positively benefited my interactions with these animals. I was excited when Forrest first showed up because it was going to enable me to demo the technology for him.
Check this out on this meter over here.
Okay.
This is pretty cool.
So it sounded neat, but I wasn't totally convinced. However, to prove it to me, Warren then pulled out this instrument called a tri-field meter. Okay, and this is reading electrical magnetic signal?
Correct.
Okay. So I waved my arm over the meter, and as expected, it picked up on my electrical signal. The needle went crazy. So Warren took the fabric and put it over the tri-field meter. When I waved my hand over it, you could see the meter wasn't picking up anything at all, which was absolutely astounding. What that meant was things like sharks or lobster that naturally pick up on electrical rays were no longer going to be able to sense that. So now I want to test if these animals actually can no longer detect you. Almost instantly, I can see I'm having these amazing interactions with marine life. Stingrays are letting me get right up close to them and pet them on their undersides. Blue mau and other reef fish are swirling all around me. I'm already starting to feel convinced this wetsuit can do something. Before I know it, Riley and I are diving through a cavernous area and he spots a large crayfish, or lobster as I would say. He dives down there and says, "Watch this."
I dove down, I put my hand out and let its antennae touch me. No reaction was seen. And I was able to move my hand in closer and closer and closer until we eventually caught this crayfish.
It was astounding to see a lobster absolutely not react to a diver's hand. So we finished up at the reef, had an awesome dive, but it was time to go do some spearfishing. We head out to an offshore high spot, which is known for big pelagic fish. Spearfishing was great. We're having an awesome time. Everybody's getting fish, but because we're having so much fun and everybody's in such a buddy-buddy mood, we kind of forget about all the blood in the water. And sure enough, in comes the apex predator.
When that marker shark first showed up, I was excited because that was my study subject. But I quickly realized there was other people in the water, and when a 12-foot marker shark turns up, size matters. But what was really interesting is the shark only approached the cameraman, who wasn't wearing a hex suit. The rest of us, it seemingly left alone, as if it didn't detect us.
I was absolutely ecstatic to be in this animal's realm and him to know I was there, and neither one of us wanting to hurt each other or disturb each other, but just two hunters in the sea passing waves.
The fastest shark in the ocean, fastest shark in the world, big top apex predator, 3 foot from me. I mean, I'm breathless. That was stunning.
Hey, see, guys? Forrest, I told you it'd work, mate. What do you think?
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Riley and I had the same experience. I was pretty blown away, Warren. I mean, you know, look at the fish we got with pole spears and.
Oh, I mean, I must have never been able to tickle a crayfish before I capture it.
So once we're back and filleting up the fish and cooking up some dinner, I get this idea in my head. I have an idea, and it's a little bit crazy, but I think I'm gonna take the suit and go down to Mexico and swim with saltwater crocodiles.
What? You're kidding me?
Fuck knows. Don't they just eat you?
Well, isn't that what they said about sharks?
I was actually shocked and in total disbelief that somebody would want to do this. But at the same time, I was super curious to see if this could actually help Forrest with his studies.
To encourage me, he said, I'm gonna get my team to design you a special crocodile wetsuit.
We created a suit that mimicked a crocodile, so when he was underwater, he would blend in and become one of them.
So I take off from New Zealand, I get home, first thing I do is call up my buddy Mark. Mark's an amazing wildlife cameraman. I say, Mark, I've got this crazy idea, whether you like it or not, you're coming with. Mark, being the guy he is, says, I'm in, no questions asked.
When Forrest told me crocodiles, I knew I had to go, and I knew I could not tell my mom about the trip.
Next thing I know, we're prepping, we're putting together gear, and we're on our way to Central America. The crocodiles are remarkably in these mangrove swamps on atolls way out in the middle of the ocean. So we charter a boat to go way offshore. The oceans were rough. We were getting our ass kicked to the point that we thought we might even have to turn back. But as we got further out to sea, believe it or not, the seas calmed down, the sun came out, and all of a sudden things were looking beautiful. In order to get the crocodiles to come to us, we needed some bait. Crocs eat fish. Now, being the biologist Mark and I are, we weren't out there to just kill a bunch of fish for nothing. However, these terribly invasive lionfish are in the area, so we decided to hop in and see if we can spear a few. Lionfish don't stand a chance against this crocodile.
To experience the reef in its most natural state, we decided to breath hold freedive instead of use scuba. Scuba bubbles can scare fish, and we didn't want that. But Forrest is a world record-holding freedive spearfish champion. So keeping up with him when he's down for several minutes at a time at 100 feet is quite the challenge. The invasive lionfish got into the Caribbean when they were released by aquarium owners that didn't want them anymore. And now they eat tons of native fish. They're really bad for the ecosystem. But as we're hunting for them, we have to be careful because they have a very venomous spine, and if Forrest or I get stung, the trip's probably over.
The spearfishing was tough, which is a good thing. There weren't tons of lionfish, but they were around and there were enough for us to spear. So we're pulling up to the atoll and there's mangroves everywhere. In the center of this is a lagoon that's packed with crocodiles, but the safest and frankly least buggy way to stay there is to stay in these fishermen's huts off of the island over the clear water and actually bait from there and try and get the large crocodiles to leave the safety of the mangroves, leave the dirty water, and come to us. So you pull up and see the living quarters, and it's pretty rough. It is literally a stilted wood platform over this crystal clear sea with a hole for a toilet and no amenities whatsoever. While we're unloading, getting stuff off the boat and onto this platform, sure enough, you can see crocodiles already. They're on the edge of the mangrove looking for the cues to come out and feed. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm happy. This is like the climax of something I've wanted to do my entire life about to happen. And in the back of my mind is a little voice going, should you really be jumping in the water with crocodiles right now?
Friends and family were asking if I was nervous before the trip. And I was. But I was nervous about the weather holding, the wildlife showing up, the equipment working. Getting in the water with the crocodiles was the part I was really excited about.
I was going through a mental checklist getting ready to hop in the water. You can't take your eyes off them. Don't turn your back on them. Make sure I'm watching not only my own back, but Mark's back the whole time. And all these different technical things that I would think, if I were a crocodile, how would I eat these guys swimming with me? And how do we prevent this? Minutes later, I get to see my first crocodile underwater. Something I've wanted to see literally my entire life. And sure enough, that crocodile let us get right up close to him. It was as if we were just two crocodiles in the water together.
In a lot of my traveling, I hear from the locals that there used to be large predators in the area, but they've been hunted or overfished or just disappeared. It's great to be in a location where the big guys are still there.
These crocodiles are a creature from my childhood that I saw as large, toothy beasts that there's no way you could get in the water near them or you would die. And now I'm swimming here eyeball to eyeball with them. This approach of biomimicry, of looking like the creature, acting like the creature, and removing that invasive electrical energy signal from the environment allowed me to have an organic encounter, to view the animal in a way that no one else has ever viewed it before. And this allowed me to study the crocodiles as they would have behaved without me even being there, which can change the way that we observe wildlife throughout the world. Even though it might not seem like, climbing Everest or another type of accomplishment, it to me was as good of an accomplishment as someone can have.